Hi everyone, and welcome to this Stage 10 betting preview for goodforthegame.co.za. Well, we're going to talk about Stage 10 in just a moment, but what a Stage 9 we were treated to on Sunday. It was an absolutely brilliant stage, and I want to actually just go back and have a look at the profile quickly. Yes, we got the classifications there. Pogacar obviously beating Roglic, Hershey, Bernal, and Lander in a sprint. But what a ride it was from the young Mark Hershey. At one stage, it looked like he was going to pull it off. And just to pop over to that profile, I think all of us virtually saw the stage as going to the breakaway. And the breakaway just wouldn't form. And it wasn't nothing like stage 5. On stage 5, we never had a breakaway, but that's because the whole peloton set up. This was the total opposite. Guys were trying to get off the front all of the time, and they just kept getting pulled back. You'd have 2 or 3 guys go clear, then someone else from the peloton would decide he wanted to be part of the action. He would jump, people would jump on his tail, and before you know it, it all came together. In fact, when they hit the Cat 1 climb, we still didn't have a break. There were a number of attempts on the Cat 1 climb, and in the end, it was this man, Mark Hershey from Sunweb, 21 years old, absolutely unbelievable. He pulled clear, and eventually it became clear that he was going to be the lone breakaway for the day. He managed to build up a lead in the valley, ultimately go over the Cat 3 climb, and led by somewhere around 4.5 minutes at one point. I think by the bottom of the Col de Marie Blanc, he had his lead cut down to about 3 minutes 15 or somewhere around there. And the lead was actually eaten into. There was a point in the stage here where he went. I actually laid him at 7-10 to win the stage, and with 50 kilometers to go. And at one stage, he went as short as 1-4 to win the stage. Although in the valley over here, he went as short as 5-10. And then up this Cat 3 climb, because it became apparent that unless Jumbo-Visma actually raced the stage, that he was actually going to go on and win. And in actual fact, Jumbo did go. We had the likes of Wout van Aert and that on the front. They hammered it, and they managed to start eating into the deficit. There were also bonus seconds available at the top of the climb, and so it was no surprise to me when the likes of Roglic and Pogacar went for those and dropped yellow jersey Yates. So that was my big bet, and certainly biggest bet so far was that Yates would lose yellow at 22-10 at Sunbet. So that was ensured a cracking day for me. But the fact that the 4 of them got over the top about 20 seconds behind Hershey, and the fact that they dropped the likes of Nairo Quintana meant that those 4 were going to race hard. You expected them to catch Hershey on the descent. They didn't. He descended like an absolute demon. In fact, he pulled clear. He was around about 30 seconds ahead as they entered the last sort of 8 kilometers in the valley. And at one point, he hit 1-4 in the betting. But then the boys started working together, and on the flat, he just couldn't hold them off, eventually making the right decision, and a decision that in retrospect, he perhaps could have made earlier, which was to sit up and join them and wait for the sprint. I don't blame him for pushing on, because if the Quintana group had caught the Roglic group, then all of them would have sat up and he would have won the stage fairly comfortably. But anyway, to his credit, he sat on for the sprint. He made the first move, and in the end, it was Pogacar who managed to get onto his wheel and come past him, with Roglic also just pipping him for a second spot. But what a great performance by Hershey. You absolutely had to love that. And obviously Pogacar bringing himself right back into contention as well. Let's just have a look at the classifications as they stand now. In the overall, we've got Roglic. He's 21 bonus seconds. That's exactly what he's ahead of Egan Bernal. Bernal showed a bit of weakness on Saturday. On Sunday, he was much more impressive. If this man is riding himself into form for the 3rd week of the Tour, he's going to be very, very dangerous indeed. Martin, you'll see it. I'll put a link on the end of the show to a chat I had on the rest day with Henrik Lemmer at Kruot Lemmer on Twitter. He's saying this man's currently sitting in 3rd position, hasn't put a foot wrong, and you can get 11-1 on him still to finish on the podium. So just thinks that because he's not one of the fashionable cyclists, the bookies are perhaps not giving him enough credit. Romain Bardet is having one of his best Tour de France's in ages. He's 30 seconds back. Nairo Quintana, 32. Sunday, not the best day for Nairo. Rigoberto Urán, also haven't seen him ride like this in quite some time, 32 seconds. And then Pogacar, you'll see now as the second favorite. He's still 44 seconds back, but bear in mind, he pulled time back on Saturday, and he lost a lot of that time all of the time that he lost basically was in the crosswinds. Let's go have a look at the outright betting. I'm on World Sports Betting site now. And we've got Primož Roglic. He is a 6-10 for the win here. Pogacar 28-10. Of course, I want Pogacar 14-1 from the start of the race. So obviously pulling for him. But it is going to be very hard to topple Roglic. He's got a strong team around him. But Pogacar's shown that he's the one man who can take them on. And I'm really looking forward to some of the mountain stages that lie ahead. Egan Bernal, he's now the 3rd favorite for the first time. He's 7-2. certainly wouldn't write this man off. A lot of his Ineos teammates are riding into a bit of form. I heard the name Sivakov mentioned at the front of the peloton a few times on Sunday, so he's recovering from his injuries. And Carapaz as well should be quite a big asset over the next 2 weeks. Nairo Quintana's drifted out to 20-1. Mikel Landa, who's looked good, but needs to be able to somehow drop the likes of Roglic and Pogacar at some stage. That won't be easy. He's 25-1. And then Lopez, who had a bit of a disappointing day on Sunday, he's 40-1, along with Uran and Port, who certainly put in one of the better performances I've seen in some time. There we go. Martin, 66-1 a win and 11-1 a place. So that is what Hendrik Demmer suggested could be a bit of value there. Let's move on to stage 10. That's taking place over 168.5 kilometers. And this is the first time we've seen what I would call a pan-flat stage at the Tour de France. It really does look like this should be one for the sprinters. We've got the intermediate sprint here after 129.5 Ks. I wouldn't expect the peloton to be all together at this stage. I should think that we get a fairly weak break going away with some of the teams, some of the sort of French teams going out there for a bit of TV time. And I think the likes of Quick-Step and Lotto, possibly Bora, will keep that break on a fairly short leash, 3 to 4 minutes maximum, and then pull them at the end for the sprint finish. The one thing that could cause problems on this stage is the wind, and I think the organizers were hoping for some powerful crosswinds. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're going to get very powerful winds, so it is unlikely we'll get echelons and splits, but you never know. The peloton are going to be nervous. They're going to be on edge. And if there is a chance, it might happen in the last 20 or 30 kilometers. And if the likes of an Ineos get on the front and hammer it, or even a quick step, potentially, you never know. We could get sprints, and we could once again see the GC boys racing for their lives. But that's more than likely going to be a sprint finish, and we'll have a look. That is reflected in the betting. Let me go up on the Sunbet website. Now, Sam Bennett, he's at 5-2. Caleb Ewan is just a couple of decimal places above him there, 2.75-1. Vote van Aert, well, he's 9-2. Now, the thing is with Vote, once again, you don't know if he'll be sprinting. It's highly unlikely that he is going to sprint. He said he's not going to sprint. And the only way I can see Vote sprinting is if it's similar to stage 7, where it actually turns into a crosswind stage and you have a very small group at the end from which to sprint from, and he happens to be there. But I wouldn't be taking him at 9-2 for this stage. Case Bolwell, he's 6-1. I give him quite a strong chance. He's got a strong train, and with his Sunweb teammates, he must have a chance. Peter Sagan, 14-1. No, I don't think so. He hasn't got the speed at the moment. Certainly, but price looks about right. Mats Pedersen, who's likely to be the selected Trek rider, he's 16-1. And then you go down 25-1 and better the balance. So I'm going to give you one here, a little bit of a change in tactics for me today. If pushed, I would probably say Sam Bennett, but I can't have him at 5-2. He just seems to be finding one better than him on too many stages. But let's go down here, and I'm going to throw in a real roughie today. And just to mention, what I'm going to do, I haven't made a slide this time around, but I'm going to bring it up here. I'm going to post my bet summary down below the YouTube video, so you can go and have a look. I'll also mention, if I go have any match plays, there is, of course, also the daily bets on the Goodforthegame forum, and you can find a link to that in the description box below. And it's not only me posting bets there, but, of course, other punters. And here's my pick for the stage, and clearly I'm not getting too involved with these sort of prices. Nicolo Bonifacio, the total direct rider, he started the Tour looking very weak indeed, but he does seem to be riding into a bit of form. Hard to say from a sprint point of view where he's at the moment. He hasn't really been contesting, but I've noticed him a couple of times on some of the stages, perhaps a bit further up than you might expect. And if he is finding his legs, then he does have the speed to sort of go quite close to the likes of an Ewan and a Bennett. Obviously, lots pointing against him here as well, but we're at that stage of the Tour where we might just get a bit of a surprise. I'm going very small stakes. I'm going on Bonifacio at 80-1 to win, but slightly bigger stake on him to podium at 18-1, and that is at Sunbet. Let's go down on Sunbet now and see what other markets they've got for the stage. They've got match bets. Bennett over Ewan. I do like Bennett here at 6-10. Might throw him into a multiple. Case Bowl, also fancy him over Pedersen, but at sort of 4-10, perhaps a bit short for me. There's Sagan over Kakard, 6-10. Yeah, fair enough. Betting looks about right. Let's just have a look through here and see. Viviani hasn't shown much to date. Hopefully he can come into a bit of form. Here we've got my man Bonifacio over Christoph, and he's 11-10. I was hoping for a little bit bigger, but I think the reality is that Christoph, there's a chance that he might have to work for Pogacar on the stage, particularly if there are crosswinds. So perhaps that's why you're not getting such a big price. But I'll probably throw him into a multiple. Trentine, I hope he scores some points tomorrow. And just going down here, having a look if there's anything else that catches the eye. These sprint stages generally, either back one of the top two on the boards or take a match bet. So I'm sticking my head out here, but not going to get too involved. Might play some sort of in-play bets as well, just on the race specials. There's nothing much on this particular stage. Hard to see any of the major jerseys changing hands. And, well, if you do think a breakaway can win it or a lone rider, you can get 8-1 that the winning margin will be 2 seconds or more. So, yes, I'll post my summary down below. If you haven't seen my chat yet with Henry Klemmer, do go up. I will put the link up at the end of the show. And, let me know as well in the comment section who's going to win the stage. I'd love to hear from you. And what do you think is going to happen on the balance of the tour? If you are new to our channel, do make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button. Thanks very much, everyone. I'll see you for stage 11 on Wednesday morning.